Wala kang ginagawa.
All right, Buzz. Go ahead.
What would y'all say if I told you that you can get like this simply by eating? Well, I'm sure many of you would think, or laugh at me and say, yeah, right. Well, I'm here to dispel for you the myths or misconceptions of bodybuilding. And yes, 70 to 90% worldly view by statistics and proven theories. This is how Arnold Schwarzenegger got 70 to 90% is all about dieting, and the rest about personal fitness and working out in the gym. Some of the myths that many of us might know or will encounter might be as stated by T.C. Loomis and Bill Phillips in Dispelling Myths that stand between you and success. In order to get big, you have to eat super high calorie diets. Well, that's true. You'll get really big if you eat a super high calorie diet. You look like the Michelin Man's fraternal twin. However, if you want to get big, lean tissue-wise, then super high caloric diets are probably not for you unless you are one of these very few people that metabolic rates so fast you can burn off these calories instead of depositing them as fat. Unfortunately, studies show that in most people, about 65% of the new tissue gain brought about by high caloric diets consists of fat. Of the remaining 35%, approximately 15 consists of increased intracellular fluid volume, leaving a very modest percentage attributed to lean body mass. You can also you can build muscle on a sub-maintenance calorie intake diet. It may be a little bit hard, and it may require a little bit more know-how, and a little bit more conscientious effort, but it can be done. The fact is, the obese state in humans and the animal is not universally correlated with absolute levels of caloric intake, and neither is a pool of lean body mass. The ability to realize changes in lean fat ratios regulate by components of automatic nervous system working in concert with several endocrine hormones. Yes, my friends, these are many of the myths that plague us these days. Putting these myths aside, here are some tools that will assist in a new way of hitting the body fat that is unwanted. You will need a scale to begin with. One, to measure your body weight, to know where you're standing. Also, you'll need to set a goal, a percentage of body fat that you might want to lose or muscle that you might want to gain. Another is, you will want to get a pair of these body fat calipers to measure yourself. Now, you'll be measuring yourselves every 2 to 4 weeks, dependent on how much you weigh in body fat and body weight. And you can use the electric body fat reader, which is a little more friendly user, which I would recommend. Now that we have the tools we will need, we can dive into obtaining the correct amount of protein, or in other words, meats, carbohydrates, vegetables, fruits, or any other source that we ingest, and body fat. Now, in the book Power Eating, Susan Kleiner, PhD, conducted an experiment in which she tested 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, and 2.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight, as well as 2.4 grams of protein per body weight. Now, the test came back that if you want to lean out and have a fit physique, lean, fit physique, you would have to stay between a 1 gram of protein to a 1.2 gram of protein per pound of body weight. If you wanted to bulk up or gain muscle, you'd have to be at a 2 grams per pound of body weight or a 2.2 gram of protein per body weight. If you went above that or below that, you would not see results, and you would either enter into a catabolic state or a metabolic state, meaning that a catabolic state would eat your muscles if you excessively work out, or a metabolic state, an anabolic state, which will build muscle, and a catabolic state, which will eat your muscle. Kleiner also provides the following equation for protein intake. 2 grams of protein times 68 kilograms, or, for example, 138 150-pound person, as the example here, for 2 grams of protein times 68 kilograms would be 138 grams of protein a day. Now, the way that you would put this together in a meal plan would be you would want to know how many meals you'll be eating a day, whether it be 4, 5, 6, or 7, and then you would divide that throughout the days evenly. In the book Scrawny to Brawny, Michael Mejia mentions Cunningham's equation for carbs, and you can simply find it online. This equation looks something like this. Body weight times body fat equals fat mass. This is where your tools come into play. You'd have to know how much you weigh, and also the body fat meter. Putting that together, you'd know your fat mass, and you'd subtract that from your body weight to equal your fat-free mass, which would substantiate your original or true body fat, putting aside all lipids, bones, and arteries. Resting metabolic rate, which would be 500, adding that to 22 times the fat-free mass, which you previously obtained, would equal out to your resting metabolic rate, leading to resting metabolic rate, or in other words, right now that you sit, you burn calories. When you run, you burn calories. When you're sleeping, you burn calories. There is no moment in the day that you do not burn calories. That's what resting metabolic rate meaning times body fat divided, body fat percentage. For example, if I had a 15% body fat, it would be 0.15, equaling the thermic effect of food, or the way that food is processed through your body and is burned off as body fat or energy. The RMR plus TEF equaling the total caloric intake or calorie intake, and also equaling out your non-exercise activity. In other words, your NEAT, like right now, you sitting down and not lifting weights or doing cardio as running or biking. When you find your NEAT, it would either be from a 0.1 to a 1.7 scale on a degree of whether you don't work out at all to a point to where you excessively work out, say 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Your RMR plus NEAT would equal your complete carb intake. Now this is pretty extensive, and I know, but you can go online and find this as Cunningham's equation, and it would be an automated calculator which would calculate your caloric intake by simply inputting your body weight and your body fat and your NEAT. And as for this intake, you want to keep it, and as for fat intake, you want to keep it at a 10 to 15% of your body weight. Anything above that or below that would either gain you fat, unwanted body fat, or would lean you out to where you can be in danger of death. This is an example of what a meal plan would look like, taking into consideration your protein intake and your caloric intake, as well as your fat intake. First breakfast, 250 milligrams of whites for a caloric intake of 108, protein 25, carbs 2. 2 whole omega-3 eggs ingesting